All right, and hello everybody. Welcome to Team Bonus Action. My name is Ninjaspence 21, otherwise known as Spencer, and then we are continuing our TBA member interviews segment that we have going on. So, who do I have with me?
Uh, Grave, aka Chris,
All
just
right,
some
then.
idiot that sometimes plays on the channel. Uh, I guess I should say that I've been playing like D&D and such since I was a kid, or at
Okay.
least since 3.0. And because my brother used to play, and I think he started on 2.0.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay then. Well, then that as I have done before, that there are going to be a series of questions that it is about 14 to 15 of them, and then they are going to vary and such. So then you had already kind of sort of just started at the first question automatically, but what had got you interested in the tabletop role-playing hobby and the community? And also, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
well, I was trying to make a joke, but went my brain went blank. No, I initially actually started playing Exalted Second Edition when my brother like took me to a game with some friends, and I played. Basically, it's version of a sorcerer, the Twilight Cast. I kind of just fell in love with that and played that for a while, and then transitioned to D&D third edition or 3.5, one of those. And we played that a little bit here and there, but we mostly played a lot of D20 Modern and other variations of D20, as well as Pathfinder First Edition. So there was a lot of going back and forth, and I think only within the past 6 years since fifth edition's been big that we like steady stay on fifth edition. But yeah, from pretty much from the moment I played Exalted was like I was like hooked on tabletop games.
Oh, nice, nice. Then I am not too familiar with the exhausted system, but it actually sounds very fun and then like
It
interesting
is,
and such.
yeah, Exalted is like Dragon Ball Z or whatever sort of like really ridiculous high fantasy sort of demigod playing sort of characters. Like it's really fun, but it is really complicated. In fact, we tried to play it recently and we ended up we were just like, okay, we're about an hour and a half into combat. This is a lot slower than something like 5e now. But like, some people like it, some people like the crunchierness of the system, but yeah.
Oh yeah, then that is true that we always have just that the number that that the number type gamers and stuff. But we do have the second question is that if you have created a homebrew world, then could you briefly describe your world?
A few homebrew worlds. Most of my the one I recently retired was basically just a homebrew world tier, which was just I'm gonna create this world because I know like a couple of people. I had some online friends at the time that really wanted to try D&D, and I didn't really feel like going into like we were playing Pathfinder Second Edition at the time, so I was like, our First Edition, not Second Edition. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I didn't have any what is it? I didn't have any modules or anything, so I was just like, I'm just going to create something. I created a town, Rothvale, and I created, and all my players made something. I just kind of like tossed something together just to allow them to have something, and then that world slowly cobbled together over a period of time. And then the second one I've been making is a world, Yuta, which is a post apoc style sort of Dark Ages kind of like Dark Crystal inspired world where basically there's like this mystical force that envelops the world, and the players have to figure out how to navigate that mystical force in order to gain ground. Basically, they need habitable areas to live. So the whole game is basically carving out parts of the world that were taken over by this force.
That's very, very interesting. That those sound like very good worlds. And then from what I have interviewed of everybody, it seems like everybody has started off with just a small town, and then they had
Yeah,
expanded onto their worlds.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's the easiest way to do it because like the hardest part about writing my second world, and I had to like stop myself, is and I kind of, I guess I should say I did create the domain of dread Eldenwild, but like you really have to like take a, you can't have too much of a macro lens when you're looking at the world. You really have to kind of just focus on what you know the players are going to interact with. Like a big problem a lot of people have is like they want to create every single thing in the world, and it's like, oh fuck, like no one is. I mean, for one, Matt Mercer has a team of writers now with his world, but two, like not everyone is going to create spontaneously like a big, well thought out world in like a month. I mean, most people, like myself included, and like some of the people on TBA, they've been like building their worlds for like ages, and they just keep
Mm.
adding and tweaking things over time. But yeah,
I
it's
mean, that me included. I mean, they're like Villarara. I am still fleshing out worlds, and then I've been building on this world since 2017. So it's been a big lot.
yeah.
But okay,
Oh
go
yeah, go
on.
ahead.
No, 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 no. You go on.
Yeah, with Tier, the one I recently retired. I mean, that world, it started out as a town, became like a little province, became another town, and then it became a continent, and then it became an entire world. And by the time we had stopped that game, it was just, it was like really huge, and I had like a lot of different lore for the world. And it's one of those things like it sucks to kind of be like, I'm going to retire this, but at the same time, I felt like, okay, this is we've played a lot in this world, so time to put it to the side.
Right, right. Absolutely. Next question is, what is your role in TBA?
Uh, that's well, I'm just here usually. Uh, Mostly, I just get with Hewitt and I get with everyone else and just run games or participate in games. I don't have like most of us are just friends that like hanging out and playing different games and different. Like me and Hewitt played what is it, fucking Grandia last night. We like doing stuff like that, and I'm usually just here. I am going to be trying to get some IRL stuff set up soon, but I think I'm with everyone. It's just like I just bring to the table anything that interests me that I want to do on here, and if everyone okays it, then it's like okay, cool, nice.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that also, also being, like one of the, I wouldn't say official TBA chefs, but that one of the other ones that also cook a lot for the team.
Cooking, like I mean, I used to like I've ran restaurants and I've been a line cook for longer than the career I'm in now. So I like cooking. I don't necessarily like cooking in my kitchen, but it is what it is. But yeah, no, I think like food is like a good conduit for like the imagination, and just because it has such a connection, like taste and smell has such a connection to everything we do. Like if there, you could like walk around a house and not feel anything, but you smell like a turkey and you're like 10 years old again. So I think like food can be pretty powerful in that sense. And like something I was trying with the Elden Wild is having food, like cooking food for players when like before we play the game, and we have like this these meals that are connected to the world you're playing in. I feel like that really can help connect people to what you're trying to do. And also, food good.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, especially that Vistani breakfast had me full for days,
Oh yeah,
and then
like
the pierogi party was great.
and the pierogies killed me. Like I think I gained like 2 pounds after the eating all the pierogi.
But
Like
those homemade beignets, I'm still
mm,
tasting them to this day.
yeah,
But
like I was happy those came out good.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, then that, then that, just as you say, then I do think food is something very, very important that we all kind of sort of bring to TBA whenever that we do have those in-person games and stuff that, but then if we can just go on and on about food and stuff. But
Hmm.
anyway, the next question is that as part of those that have founded our team during that first charity live stream event, do you ever see Team Bonus Action growing into something larger? In what ways do you wish to improve your role or the team as a whole?
Well, I mean, I would like to see it get big. Obviously, like I'm not like with my own channel, it's a hobby channel, and like I think if it's going to get to any point, it needs to be at the very least a self-sufficient channel, which means basically whatever money we put into the channel, it can pay for it. I think that's a good goal to strive for, a good modest goal. And with my channel, it's basically the same thing. Like obviously, no one here wants to like quit their day job and become the next like uh Adventure Zone or one of those. I mean, it sounds cool on paper, but like I do enjoy doing this as a hobby, and I don't know, like anything beyond that, it gets a bit dicey. But yeah, like, and in terms of like improving, I think we're doing pretty good. Like there are some things I wanted to do. There's a lot of like non TBA related. Well, they're TBA related in the sense that it's going to be Team Bonus Action doing it, but it's not like tabletop related or anything like that. Um, but like I wanted to do more IRL events. I live right next to a main road, so if you hear stuff, I'm sorry.
That's
Uh,
understandable.
but yeah, I wanted to do more in-person stuff. Obviously, I wanted the Lafayette crew to get involved as well. I have some ideas that I'm still trying to like. This has been a hectic couple of months, so still trying to figure all that out. But yeah, like generally, I think I want to expand beyond just doing uh, just tabletop. Like I like doing the gaming streams with Hewitt, and I also we have a planned. I think we're going to do either beer or mead. Like it's just going to be a hobby stream where we'll just show people how to make beer, I guess. But or it's probably more going to be like we're going to be talking and then like just brewing beer. And once we figure out the logistics on that, that's going to be fun.
So that sounds very, very exciting. Exciting to hear, and then that those are some very good, things and stuff. So, next question is that how will you describe your game mastering style? Are you more of a storyteller? Are you combat heavy? Will you just describe that to us?
Uh, Hewitt once described my GMing style as weird. Like I like throwing like weird shit at players and letting them try to figure something out. I would say like in terms like I don't mind doing fights and I don't mind I like role play and I want players to get invested. But what I really like to do is like throw things that for people to figure out. I love puzzles. So I try to make puzzle like when you make a dungeon, like I feel like it's kind of boring just to be like, here's an enemy. Next room, here's an enemy. Next room, here's a trap. No, I like to throw some things in there that like make players think about what they're doing. And it actually helps me out. It helps me become more descriptive because there are times where you have to be like, oh, I have to come back and like try and re-explain this to make sure it's clear. Uh, I think it helps with that. But yeah, I just enjoy puzzles really, and I enjoy doing weird shit that like throws people on their head. Also, like when it comes to combat, I lately I've just been like hard, fast fights, something like something that might not have that much health, but it hits hard and it is. Uh they can see you.
Anyway, go on.
Uh
It's
I'm so
fine.
apparently my dog broke out.
Oh,
So that's cool. What were we talking about?
we were talking about your game mastering style, about the fact of that you like quick and fast and hard combat.
Yeah, like I don't want to have to sit here and like I don't like unless it's like a very important fight. I don't want to spend like 2-3 hours like on combat. I want it to be over and done with, and I want that happy medium between like dangerous but also quick. Uh, and it's kind of a hard medium to have, but I think it's better overall. Like the last, it's something you had to figure out. You had to kind of like figure out on your own how to do it. Fortunately, going to 5e has helped a lot because hey, did y'all find it?
Yeah, we got it.
What?
Bastard ass animal.
No, we just put a.
Bro, I'm below in the light.
Oh my!
I look like a whole ghost.
I am so sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It happens.
But yeah, like coming from Pathfinder, which Pathfinder you go from like fights taking anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes to fights taking 3-4 hours because it's just so much like little things and the attack bonuses and the everything just gets so ridiculous and then everyone has like these resistance and then if you it is just it get like by level 9 you're like okay this is frustrating. So when I went to 5e even like high level 5e is not as bad on combat as something like Pathfinder or 3.5. But yeah, I would say puzzles, weird shit, and storytelling are my 3 favorite things on DMing.
All right, then that's very interesting. And having being just a player up in some of your games and stuff, then that that I have enjoyed every single storytelling aspect of it. That that your encounters. That I am sorry that I am a very tactical player that just ruins your plans, especially that first game that we had with just some of our friends from like
Oh yeah, I mean,
Tennessee.
but that's fun usually. Like I like it when players can be subversive or players can find a way out of something that I didn't think of.
Right.
I mean, and it's gonna happen. Like you can't be a DM and expect your players not to try and weasel out or figure out a way through your puzzles because you're one person and you have at least 3 to 4 people at a table against you. So you
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to roll with the punches. But I do enjoy that. I love it when people figure shit out, especially if it's like a puzzle and they just figure out a way around it. And it's clever enough where you're like, yeah, it just works. I don't know how it works, but it does. Just, yeah.
Right, right. So then that is very so then that is very like interesting. All right, and next question is you had mentioned earlier that you have a homebrew world. Have you ever dabbled into creating your own races, classes, subclasses, etc.?
Yeah. I made a subclass for the sorcerer. Um,
Mm.
I'm still testing it out because one of my players is using it in my home game. I call it the Arcane Savant because I wanted to make something that was. I'll be honest, like none of the sorceries or sorcerer classes I'm really like very fond of because they all have like their own unique flavor and everything. But I wanted a sorcerer, like someone who is just gifted with magic. It's not very complicated magic, but they're just they do a lot of damage. They hit people. That's all they're good at. And I wanted to have something that reflected that, so I made the Arcane Savant, which they can copy spells. Like if they see a spell, they can wait an hour to copy it, so long as they're high enough level for it. They can also gain slots back if they do like certain criticals. So it's basically meant to just be a like straightforward, you throw fireball type class where you're just constantly trying to do damage.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting because I know that 5e sorcerers, then that they are limited by that the bloodline trait, of which then as soon as you pick the spell, that you know just that spell, and then that you can't really
Mm,
necessarily gain just like any more spells. So then that is very, very interesting
yeah.
for them to actually, let's just say that a savant, I mean that an all, I mean that an arcane savant sorcerer decide to basically see a cleric use, like a spiritual weapon, then that they can get that spell in their in their repertoire.
Yeah, basically. They can rep like they have to wait a minute, and
Right.
they only have a limited number of spells they can memorize to replicate, but they can replicate pretty much any spell. Granted, it doesn't have like material components. They can't like it resurrection. They can't do resurrection because that takes material components to do. But anything that like isn't like a consumable or a has a monetary value, they can do. So long as they sit and speculate on it, I guess they. Shoot, let me actually. I can actually look up because I have Roll20 up right here.
And that is a very, very interesting subclass because then it just always just seemed like that sorcerers that they don't necessarily get the short end of the stick, but it feels like they kind of do, do
Well, like sometimes
in
I
some
feel
points.
like the sorcerer has a trouble finding an identity, and like it has trouble having an identity in D&D because it is a magic class, a pure magic class, and it's technically supposed to be like, okay, you have innate magic that you can use, like you're limited, but you can like manipulate what you know to do like these awesome things. But meta magics, a lot of the meta magics are and then you have subclasses that are just they're okay, but they're not. They're either like, oh, a draconic bloodline. Okay, I don't want to be a dragon, really. Um, or you can have like what Aberrant might like. There's a lot of flavors of the draconic origin or the sorcerer's origins that are they're cool in theory, but they just don't have like the. I think they should be like just more straightforward than they actually are.
All right, that makes sense. I mean, then that I know then that I was reading. I know that I was reading on that the Clockwork Soul, and in that that my mind is just like, okay, so that we're gonna deal with some good time magic or something like that, and I'm like, wait, why in the world am I dealing with more drawings and stuff? If I am a Clockwork Soul, that this is how does this fall into play at times and stuff?
Yeah, like it's sort of the drawbacks. Hopefully, like the sorcerers have been getting better, but hopefully with 5.5 coming out, they're gonna really expand everything and try to uh, just give more personality to the sorcerer.
Right, right.
Yes. So they can. So the arcane savant can, as well as like rejuvenate spell slots, they can absorb or reflect spells. So
Oh, that's nice. Very nice. All right, then. So next question is, what are some of the inspirations for the games and content you create, and could you elaborate on your research process when creating a game?
uh, usually, I mean, I'm edgy, so I like a lot of horror and dark content. So usually my world, like the the world I've been creating recently, like I said, it's like Dark Ages, kind of like the civilization's just finally starting to pick up the pieces again. Uh, and of course, things like Dark Crystal and everything really kind of just inspire me so much to like. So basically, that world kind of has like a flavor of that. Like, uh, none of the races are like usual like orc or elf or things like that don't actually exist in the world. They're more my own flavor. Yeah, like I just like dark fantasy, and I like just I don't know. Yeah, I think that's just about it actually.
That's very just so then that's just very just interesting. And then I know then that being a player up in some of your games, as I mentioned before, then that I can sense like a lot of just those elements of just kind of like that, the uncanny, canny, basically, that you try to keep the creep, that you try to keep the creep factor up to 11 all the time.
Oh yeah, like especially if it's a horror game, it's like you gotta. Yes, I'm an edge lord. Yeah, you gotta keep the kind of have to keep that spookiness up, and you got to do it in a couple of different ways. You can't just be like, "Oh, creepy pyramid head man who goes around and chops things and has a corpse in his hand." You don't really have to do that. Like, you can just, you know, introduce your play like with Elden Wild. You just introduce the players to like weird ritualistic customs they're not used to, or things that are like that might be upsetting, but they're not upsetting to the people around you, and you're like, okay, oh fuck, am I in danger, or should I just play along with what these people are doing, or you can just like set the mood in a way to where players feel uneasy where they're at. But yeah,
Oh
I do
yeah,
love
oh
some
yeah,
spookiness.
oh yeah. That like absolutely. I think that keeping players just kind of like with just more of just that uncanny kind of like grim dark storytelling will actually make them kind of more so think and such. And then that's a very good, interesting spin on the things.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I try. Like, I think every like spookiness is fun because it's like it's not just like fun scary, like fun anxiety, I guess you would say, or fun dread.
Right.
It's like it's there's a lot of mystery and intrigue that goes into horror. That's really fun. Like a good example is like Curse of Strahd. Like learning, like the world is dark and grim, and like Ravenloft is. It's sad to go through, but you're also like wading through history, and you're discovering things about the world and about Strahd. And so not only is it like have this like spookiness, it has like this sort of draw to bring you in.
I didn't say anything.
Oh no, my roommate walked
Oh,
past.
okay.
One day I'll move and have a better place to stream.
No, it's fine. I mean,
Because
it's
yeah,
just one.
this okay, well this room, this is like the second bedroom, but it's connected in 3 points in the house. So it doesn't really function as a bedroom so much as a hallway.
Right, that's understandable. I mean, that that we all have to like make do with our situations and stuff. So that the next question is going to be a bit of a spicy one, quote unquote. So with the growing popularity that Dungeons and Dragons have generated in mainstream media and is viewed as cool now, not to discount the critical success of those professional D&D web shows that have paved the way for the smaller groups in the tabletop role-playing gaming community, how do you feel have these spikes in popularity have either helped or harmed the hobby?
Oh, I think it helped it a lot. Like I want to see more perspectives. Like I think there's a lot of people, like especially like older D&D players and like some of the more chuddy ones want to have like they want to have their hobby, their games the way they grew up playing or the way they saw it or their own they really just like their own perspective and don't really want to hear from anyone else's. I think that's silly. I like seeing like I love seeing the artwork that people do. Like some of these kids just have some kick-ass character designs, and it's really fun to see what other people can do with the world or with D&D or like it's just I think it's been really good. I'm glad to see that, love seeing their create. Oh yeah, definitely. And I love the fact that Wizards of the Coast and a lot of other people are getting a diverse group of talent because, like, as like as cliche as it is to say, I mean, it does help to have like a diverse set of people looking at something. You get different perspectives and you get different ideas injected into that, and you can really create something cool when you have a diverse pool to choose from. And generally, I think D&D are just like tabletop role play is just a fun social activity. It's really good for that, and I think it's something that can help bridge the gap for a lot of people, especially like people like because I grew up, I was a shy kid, I was bullied, I had all those problems, but D&D helped me out with a lot of just getting past that. It helped me explore things about myself. It helped me. It helped me just kind of level out. It gave me a bit of escapism, and it gave me a reason to go outside and hang out with friends. So I think it is a good hobby for like multiple, just for hanging out with friends, something that's like becoming less and less like people are becoming more isolated within themselves, especially with the pandemic that happened. I mean, there were like 2 years where we were pretty much stuck inside or like mostly stuck inside. So yeah, I think I think it's good that it's getting a lot of different attention and it's getting a lot of different perspectives added to it. And I'm glad people are like experimenting with like different things because I mean, at the end of the day, it's more than just, a dungeon running game. I mean, it's called Dungeons and Dragons, but how many how many times are you in a dungeon in Dungeons and Dragons really? Like
Not much.
like a dungeon. I mean, nowadays a dungeon is just like a generic term for like an area in which you explore and fight bosses and shit. But like tabletop RPG in general is just a good, like, solid way to explore yourself, have fun with friends, and socialize and bond with people. And yeah, so I with all that rambling, yes, I am glad that more people are playing D&D and
I
more
mean,
people playing tabletop. Like I know
oh,
some people don't like there are like some tabletop players that are like, I don't like D&D, it's too popular, blah blah blah. And it's like, well, I mean, I love me some like Monster of the Week. I love Exalted and shit, but a lot of people play D&D, and it's a pretty fun and easy to pick up system. So I don't
oh
see the
yeah.
reason to hate it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, then that that much just like yourself that that the whole like shy kid checklist, bullied, quiet, shy, bit of nerdy and stuff, and then that you are true about the whole like aspect of like the tabletop role playing community as a whole actually builds those social skills up and stuff.
And like getting the right group, like I mean, you can have games go indefinitely and just make a lot of memories doing that and just having a lot of fun. Like I mean, it's a fun hobby, and there's
Right.
also a lot of stuff that are adjacent to D&D, like miniature painting or model building or map making and all these
Mm-hmm.
creative writing. Like it is, like it's truly a hobby that inspires you to expand outward to do other things. Because you can either play it like pretty bare bones, like with like a piece of notebook paper and a pen for your dungeon, or you can go all out like Hewitt does, where he makes his terrain. He has like hundreds of painted minis. Uh, some people having like the interactive table where it's like a touch screen. People do some wild shit, and I think like if it weren't for the fact that the game, like if it weren't for like D&D, like people's love for the game and wanting to bring the experience up to a next level, then like I don't think people would get into those things, like get into woodworking or getting into like I it's inspired me to look into other recipes for cooking or different cultures, to understand like exactly how to run something without being too appropriative. Or it's really, I guess I can just, it's just really good at fuck, my brain's going blank. I had 2 cups of coffee. My brain should not do this. But
I mean that. Mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
I mean that, but yeah, that I can 100% agree with that tremendously. I mean, that it's so many. It's just so many other skill sets that every single DM that I have interviewed on for just that this part of our TBA thing, then that they have something extremely different to the table to always bring, and in that I do think that that as that you say that finding just that core group of similar minded people are just that to able to just click together without being like too power gamey or else feeling like somebody is feeling left out. We all feel like we have bonded together for just a family setting. Well, us becoming a family rather.
Yeah. And the funnest thing about D&D, like when you're talking about D&D, or if you're talking with other people about D&D, you never talk about like what's happened from the perspective of like, it's like, oh, Spencer did this in the game. It's always like Tristiana did this in the game. You're
Mm-hmm.
always talking from the perspective of your characters, and I think that's an interesting thing. Like because people get like because again, people keep saying it's like, oh, it's just like a dungeon running game. It's just not everyone wants to play tactical whatever for a like they make fun of it, but like most people get into their characters to the point to where everything that happens you build like the history in your head, and it's like a memory. Like you're just like, oh, I remember when Zugard fucking grew big on a pier and dropped into the water, and she had to fucking swim her way back. It's really interesting how like games are treated almost like memories, like something that's actually happened to you, or at least close enough to where it's like you talk about it fondly enough to where it's like, oh, we had this funny as fuck adventure, and we did all this stupid shit, and you're talking about it as if it actually happened to you, as opposed to you controlling a character in a game and rolling dice and all that.
Right, right. All right, and so next question is, I know that it may be similar to like that the other question earlier, but what are some of the long-term goals for team bonus action that you would like to see accomplished?
I mean, right now, I'm glad to see we got, I think, 99 followers. I would like to see that double by this time next year, if we can do that. But just long term goals, like I said, and it's definitely not something that's going to happen overnight. But I would like to see TBA get self sufficient as a channel. Like, and I think not only would that serve like our day to day sort of streams, like we do a stream and it might make a little bit, like it's not raking in the big bucks, but it's making a little bit of money, and we can use that to invest into the channel. But it will also help, like, just with the charity stuff, because I think at the end of the day, this is a lot of what we do is focused around charity. And
Correct.
I think like building any sort of presence on the channel, or building the brand, so to speak, is
Mm-hmm.
more about getting more people to the Extra Life event. It's getting more people to our next charity, and it gives us an avenue. It gives us motivation, an avenue to build up, to have other charity events. So we don't just have to do 1 or 2 charity events. We can do 3 or 4. Or we can do like a seasonal charity event. But yeah, that's definitely where I'm feeling on the channel. And also, I want to have something like, I mean, on a personal level, I like TBA because I do like doing running games for folks on stream, but I don't want to do that on my channel. So I can do horror content, and I can do like my spooky shit over on Graveflower, and then I can come over to TBA and have fun and do all that. Play games, hang out with friends. Also, yeah, like going to what going back to me talking about what me and Hewitt want to do. I mean, another way to stream and combine our old hobbies. Like we saw Knox. Knox was streaming doing leatherworking, which was really cool. I know Hewitt does a couple of different things in terms of like hobby streams. So I would like to just do stuff like that. I think, as I was saying before, D&D is an expansive hobby in the sense that you start with D&D and then you start doing other things. And to some extent, it's the same with the channel. Like we started playing D&D, we made this channel, and now we're getting into things that we wouldn't have gotten into otherwise if we didn't pursue this. So, yeah.
Right, right, absolutely. And then I know being, like all of us know how to make maps and stuff, but and then that could be something that we can do up in the future, such as like recording a video to about how like Spencer create a map, how Zeta creates a map, how Miro creates a map. But then that on to that the next question though, because then that we are almost getting short on time, and then I do want to make sure that we get through every single one of these questions.
Oh.
Okay. Name a favorite character of all time that you have played. This character can be from any game you have been in, TBA or else non-TBA.
Hard question, because I've had a few good characters.
You can use two, it's fine.
Well, right now I'm enjoying my character Zugar, which is a personal game. A fighter slash barbarian, rune knight, half orc, and nothing really special about the character in terms of what they are. They're just big, beefy, like just likes to punch things sort of character. Very nonchalant, very laid back. And I guess one character I've always wanted to bring back, and I've only played him twice, and it is a TBA character. It's my character Dugo. Dugo is fun as fuck because if there is like a through line for all of my characters, that they're usually pretty chaotic, and I just do it's hard for me to play like a straight laced character. I gotta fucking poke at shit, even if it gets me killed. But no, Dugo was some of the funnest I had playing any character, and I only played him, I guess, in a handful of games, because technically he was in 3 games on the first Extra Life, and then I brought him back for the level 20 game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think those are probably two of my favorite characters right now. I think an honorable mention would have to be my steampunk character, which I played, holy shit, for years. Like, we played D20 Modern with some modifications. But my steampunk character, Mordecai, who again is very chaotic. He's a drunk. He's a marksman. He is an engineer, and he has a giant boiler as an automaton.
Nice.
Really, really fun character to play. Really silly. And playing that, I've played that character on a tabletop and on a LARP, or played multiple LARPs even. But yeah, I think that would be all of them.
Oh, nice. I mean, then that I know then that Triss and Dugar may have words if then that they ever meet up again. But then that then that's for like another timeline. How do you view yourself with the hobby within the next 5 years?
Well, I hope I'm continuing playing. But like, when it comes to the next 5 years, I'm hoping to just keep doing stuff with y'all and keep going forward.
Oh, that's nice. That is a very short, simple, easy answer.
Mm.
Alrighty then. What would be the dream collab that you would like to be a guest or be a part of of the more famous tabletop RPG communities?
I think I'd just like to play with the people from Not Another D&D podcast, or NatPod. They're fucking hilarious. I think I would be too shy to make a silly ass character like they have, but NatPod is fucking hilarious. And yeah, it seems like a fun. It feels like it would be fun to be a fly on the wall to see how, not just how you hear them, but just how they play in IRL.
Interesting. I had never heard of them before. Could you elaborate right quick for our viewers about them?
Oh, NatPod, Not Another D&D podcast. It is a D&D podcast that is run by some of the people from, I believe it was people that were on Dimension 20, but it's like their personal game.
Oh, okay.
And it originally started with Bohemia, which is their first game. Okay, so it's Brian Murphy. What is his name? Jake Hurwitz, Codwell, and Emily Axford. So they're all like didn't mention 20 people that ended up going in to make their own game. One of the players is almost completely new to the game at the start of the podcast, and the other two are the rest of the people have played pretty regularly. And some of them have been on Dimension 20. I think Emily Axford and Brian Murphy, especially, have been on Dimension 20 a few times. But it's just a funny fucking podcast. So much so it's funny, and then you start getting invested in their story, and it's like, oh shit, you forget like just how silly and stupid they get for a little bit once it actually starts getting a little bit serious.
That is a very, very good answer. Answer that then that is something new that I will have to definitely check out. Alrighty then, last question. If you can improve TBA in any method, how would you make those changes?
If I could improve in any method,
Mm-hmm.
hmm. I don't know. I guess the only way we could improve it is like if we could get a proper studio set up, but that's a work in progress. That'll come down the line.
Yeah.
I can't think of too much off the top of my head.
But that's understandable. I mean, then I know like that whenever that it is, I know whenever that it is up to my interview, eventually I know like one of the things that I say is basically, find a way to basically like have like the Lafayette crew take over like a month or so of live games and stuff. So that way then it gives the Monroe crew a chance to break and stuff. But then that's something that we can work on the back end and stuff.
Yeah, it's just all depending on next couple or few months or years or whatever.
Right.
But yeah.
Alrighty then. So then with that, then I will think that, that we have successfully did this interview well, and then that
Oh,
we had
sweet.
leveled up to the next person. So I am just going to just say thank you, Zeta, for basically, taking that taking the time out for just, that this interview that we have had amazing, like just basically TBA members explain about their DEM styles and stuff along with just that their aspects and different things. So if that you have like any other social medias and stuff that you can basically plug them.
Okay, yeah. Graveflower on Twitter and Graveflower on Twitch. I do horror content usually. I'm going to be expanding my horror content here soon to include random shit, but still horror related. And I'm probably going to be playing Visage here in the near future. So that's going to be fun. Yeah,
All right.
that's about it.
Alrighty then. Thank you for that. And then that I know that that this is going to be a bonus action stream later on today where that Miro will be probably hosting the game of Sexy Battle Wizards today. It's going to be sometime around 4 p.m. Central Time US. So basically just basically like stand by for that. Then that's probably going to be like a load of fun. And then that this is going to be a filler game due to, like Zeta, that he just had to just take a few like about a month off for like mental and stuff.
Just a little bit of time, dude.
Yeah. And then that that we just want to basically make sure that we are just we just want to make sure that we are just inclusive here and stuff for basically our players and stuff here at Team Bonus Action. So basically with that that I would just like to say thank you everybody for watching, and you can find Team Bonus Action on our Facebook group, Instagram. We still need to teach Miro how to use that. Our Twitch is basically bonus_team. And since that Knox isn't here, don't let your meatloaf I will see you all. See you all later. Good night,
See you
everybody.
later.